Hi, my name is Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and an emotional wellness coach. And so today I want to talk with you about what are you waiting for? That's what this is what phone call, that's what this phone call, interesting. That's what this live is all about, is what are you waiting for? I'm having this conversation with you because we are just finishing the first month of 2020. We have passed the date where the quitting day, it's like the American quitting day, which I believe is the 17th of January, and that's when everyone, by this time, a great majority of people have already quit on their goals and dreams for the year. And so, and here we are at the end of January, and what are you waiting for? That's what this whole thing is about. What are you waiting for? So you've been following me for a while, and you know that, I'm sorry, I got to deal with that. You know that it is absolutely possible to move your anxiety, depression, and trauma disorder into remission, and it's possible for you to start moving into for you to move into post-traumatic growth in 2 to 4 months, 2 to 6 months. Let's just be generous here, as opposed to 2 to 6 years. And what are you waiting for? You know that this is a possibility. And let's say that, you are not destined to work with me and do all the things that I've got going on over here. But you could still be moving. And so what I'm going to work with, what we're going to talk about today is what are you waiting for? What's holding back? What's stopping you? And these are the things I hear the most. And we're just going to go there and do it because, it's not going to matter what you know. It's not going to matter what you learn in a book. It's not going to matter any tips that you pick up along the way. And let me tell you what, you don't have a tip problem. You don't have a problem that is going to be solved with a couple tips. Okay. If you did, it would have happened already. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing here. You have symptoms of anxiety, depression, or because some people are struggling with all three of them at the same time, that are impacting your life and are stopping you in the full potential that you have to live your life and to love the people that are around you and just to have peace, have confidence, have happiness and joy. And this is right there for you, but it's not going to matter what you know. It's not going to matter. The only thing that's going to matter is what you do. And what are you waiting for? And by all means, if you're jumping on now, that's what I'm talking about. What are you waiting for? That's the catchy title I've got going on. And I want you to go ahead and put in the comments section, whenever you feel like it, what you are waiting for. And I'm going to talk about the top 4 reasons I see. And we're going to just annihilate those and get them out of the way, because that's what we need to do to get this. Because none of these reasons are more important than you. None of these reasons are more important than your babies, and none of these are more important than you living a healthy, vibrant life and being free of these things. That yes, these things happened, they were here, but they're meant to go. They're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be wearing these things for the rest of your life. So it's time to put it down. So let's talk about this. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for permission? Are you waiting for permission to heal? Because at this point, I'm going to get a rubber stamp. I'm going to have it ordered, mailed to me. No, I'm not, but let's just pretend. And I will stamp your card. I give you permission to heal. Right? The entire world will benefit from your healing. The entire world will benefit when you're not carrying around pain and anguish in your heart, in your soul, in your body anymore. And as a matter of fact, when this takes place, you will set such a ripple effect of healing in your world that if nobody in your world is giving you permission to heal, I'm giving it to you. How can you take the steps you need to take, regardless of whether anybody wants you to heal or not, or is going to give you permission? Or even will acknowledge the fact that you even have a problem. Like some people's families don't even want to be like, I don't even know what you're struggling with. All this trauma, right, that happened in the family unit, but I don't even know, right? I don't know why you just haven't gotten over it yet. I don't know why this, they haven't even given you permission to even have a problem, let alone to start healing it. But are you going to wait around for them to give you permission to heal? Are you waiting for them to say, oh yeah, man, this is really tough. I can see that you're really hurting. It's time to heal. Why don't you go ahead? I don't know about you, but I don't want you waiting for that, because we don't know if that's ever going to come, because that takes a lot of a lot of healing on their end to be able to acknowledge what's happening on your end. Okay, so please don't wait around for permission. You know, my mom used to have this saying, I'm not going to hold my breath. Good. Well, don't hold. That's the situation with this too. Don't hold your breath and wait for somebody to like give you permission, because we don't want you running out of oxygen. Do what you've got to do to heal. You absolutely can do this. What are you waiting for? Okay. Are you waiting for the right timing? Right? Well, I can't because I can't heal. Let me tell you what, anxiety, depression, trauma, I would say, and I think a lot of people in the medical world will also affirm this, is one of the root causes of all physical problems that people experience, and a majority of them. And I would even say I'd go with the all, but that this is my practice. This is what I do, and so this is the research I read, and so and they're starting to do, the medical professionals with just bodies that don't believe in any emotional stuff are starting to see that there is a connection, and it may actually be the root cause. So when we're talking about healing your emotions, you're healing your anxiety, the symptoms of anxiety, depression, and trauma. This is physical healing we're talking about. We're not just talking about, this is having the flu, but for decades. Like, who does that? And why is this? This is why my field angers me. You don't expect to have a flu or anything for your entire life. If not, like, okay, so there are some moments, you know what I'm saying, but like, this can be reduced so quickly. And I think that's really what because there are major, you're right, there's congenital problems, there are major major things that debilitate people, and I get it. And I think that we think that things like sexual abuse, physical trauma, attachment wounding during childhood, things like, we think that those are permanent. And I see people heal from that all the time. So I can't even get on that, right? For me, this is like the flu. When can we get done with it already? And so, but there's not a right time to, with the flu, your body just starts doing, yeah, you got to rest a little bit more. You got to take your vitamin C, with all the stuff. But with anxiety, depression, and trauma, you really have to help the brain. You have to really do some things and do as much as you can with the emotional energy, physical energy that you have, right? And when is the right time for that? Oh, I'm in the middle of getting a master's degree. Oh, I'm doing the bake off for church on Sunday. I can't do that right now. I can't heal because my husband is sick, right? No, not at all. Because what you're saying with not taking the healing actions is you're saying that you are going to condemn yourself longer in suffering. You're going to condemn your children to being raised with a mom or dad in who's emotionally unwell, who's going to pass that stuff on to them. This is worse than the flu. This is, you pass this on to your kids, they start picking it up. Then they can't have healthy emotional relationships because they're codependent and they're emotionally wounded because you emotionally wounded them. And then they end up divorcing, and your grandchildren are split in 3 households, and you're visiting no, we don't need this. What is more important right now than healing? And guess what? If you've got a sick relative, all the more reason you should be healing. This is the best time for you to be healing. I know that, when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, I was terrified. And that was a time when I went all in. I went and took one of the top trainings in the country, because it said that it would help with cancer. So I just went, I'm in this. It ended up being wonderful for my whole career. But it was just like, I was going to wait to have skills to help her, and to be part of the healing train, or to suffer, or to sit in terror and bring her down like that. She doesn't need that. And I absolutely, and was able to help her recover and keep her bladder. I don't know, many of you may know that story, but I ended up using some energy medicine techniques on her, and her bleeding in the bladder stopped for the first time. in 5 weeks, and they were talking about taking it out the next day. It was magic. It was awesome. It wasn't magic, it was science, but still it felt magical, and that's what I'm in this for. So but there's just not always the right timing. It's like, when's the right time to have a baby? Okay, there's some optimal moments, but your emotional wellness, everything is dependent upon that. This is the number one factor in whether or not you will have a successful business, a successful life, a successful relationship, is your emotional wellness. What are you waiting for? People ask me, they call me, they say, can you do our marriage counseling? No, I can't do your marriage counseling. Let me tell you what, I cannot do your marriage counseling. You do not want me to do your marriage counseling, because I'm just going to tell you, it's your trauma, it's your anxiety, it's your depression. Would you like to work on that? Because if you have these things, it's clouding your vision, it's distorting your judgment. I don't want to talk about your marriage. I mean, I will, of course, to help you with your trauma and anxiety, depression, but not to help your marriage. I don't do that. Just so you know. But let me tell you what, I will help you get your brain to function properly, so that you're actually hearing what's being said and not hearing all your flashbacks. That helps. I will help you get your brain functioning properly, so that when you guys are having discussions, you don't feel that fear of being rejected every single second. And it makes you go into people pleasing and being passive or being aggressive or being manipulative. I will help you with that. But what is better than your emotional wellness? It's the foundation of everything. And so, what are you waiting for? I'm going to ask you that over and over again. I'm enjoying that, because that's really what it is. I don't know what you're waiting for. Many of you are sitting there at home and your brain is emotionally on fire. And you're grabbing all sorts of dysfunctional things to put on there and cool off your brain, so that it's not so painful. But guess what? You're destroying your health. You're yelling at your children. You're disconnected. You're sleeping your life away. And I'm not, these are things that you don't have a choice over. So I'm not passing any judgment. I'm just telling you what the deal is. And you aren't taking the steps that need to be taken to heal. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I want you to know, I have been severely mentally ill. I don't like that stuff. So, some people are waiting for having enough money. And this is, I get this. I spent 3 years during one of my emotional unwellness episodes with zero income, and on food stamps, and that was not good. I did not enjoy that. And that's when I did my healing. Money cannot stop you from healing. If you are telling yourself that money is stopping you from healing, you are lying to yourself, and I want you to stop it now. Because it's an illusion. Do not let that stop you. And let me tell you what, my mental illness, the worst, most expensive part of my mental illness was the money I was not making during that time, and was the money my husband was not making during that time, because we were at a brain traffic jam of mental illness. That, anyway, I didn't realize was I didn't know it was an emotional problem. Shows you how much therapists know. I was also a therapist at that time. I thought I was having a financial crisis, but I was having a mental health crisis. So things you learn along the way. But money cannot stop you from healing. If, in fact, you are saying, well, I would go to treatment, but I don't have the money. That means kind of, I would be healthy and well, but I don't have the money. I would be vibrant. I would be a good mom. I know that if I wasn't so irritable and I wasn't so anxious, I would be a good connected mom. My kids would have a good connected woman to role model with and live with. But I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to be the mom my kids deserve. I don't have enough money to live my potential. That sounds terrible to me. And I don't know how many tens, I mean, probably over $100,000 we missed out on during that time, you know. And maybe if I had to pay stuff for cash, let's just say back in the day, I had to, I didn't have insurance, I had to pay stuff from cash. I mean, let's throw $25,000 on it, right? So let's throw $25,000 on it. What's that in the grand scheme of a hundred and some $1,000 that I would have made in the time that I was mentally ill, that I couldn't make because I was so sick? Right? It's not, it just can't be the thing. Money cannot stop you from going where you're going, because let me tell you what, in that time, if I actually had to get $25,000, which that's a crazy amount of money, if I actually had to do that, I could have asked my mother, I could have asked my friends, I could have done a GoFundMe. I am incredibly sick. I was and so I could have gotten all kind of resourceful. I could have taken out a loan. I could have used my credit card on it, but no, I did dumb coping things that people, with your brains on fire, you do some stupid things. No, I was not using my money for my emotional wellness. And I could have been using other people's money. People would have thrown money at me, and I could have paid them back with all the money that I would have made. But I would have been out of suffering. I would have saved my children years of not having a mentally ill mom. I was still rocking it out, though, just by the way. You know how we do. You can be pretty anxious and still show up every day for your kiddos, or sometimes you can't. And no matter where you're at, it doesn't matter. You've got to dive in. I'm just proud of myself as I reflect back on how awful that was and how I stood up and healed and showed up for my kids. I patting myself. But, I just want you to know that money cannot be what stops you. Where there is a will, there is a way. And guess what? Let me tell you what. There is all kinds of information out there about self-fulfilling prophecies. The story you tell about your money and about your recovery is what you're going to get. If you tell a story, man, I only have this much money, so I can't heal. Or you say, I only have this much money, and because of that, I'm sick of only having that, I'm going to heal. Right? And so think about the stories you're telling yourself about your money. But number one, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting to be a millionaire? I don't know how long that's going to take. How long is that going to take? And you're going to have to do that. I mean, don't you think it'll be easier to become a millionaire emotionally well? Right? Oh, I'm going to wait till I get a job. I'm going to wait to get a job before I get any better. But don't you think it would be easier to get a job if you're emotionally well? If you can stop the anxiety, if you can stop your stomach from churning, if you can stop those flashbacks, if you can stop interpreting everything as an attack, if you can stop the hypervigilance, don't you think it would be easier to get a job then? So much of us, we worry about the money stuff, but it's like, so many times once we make that decision to heal and to move forward, it's like everything starts to take care of itself. Everything comes together. And ultimately, and there are some situations that are absolutely conditions, right? There are some conditions that are absolutely here, and you got to know that for yourself, right? Because let me tell you what, if I got a kid waiting for a transplant and I need to save money or be emotionally unwell, I'm going to be unwell, right? So I got no stones for you. I don't want you to hear judgment. And if that's your issue, I am not talking about that. But even if that's the issue, even then, talk to yourself about the stories, because you might need more, generate more money and not be limited by it, right? But why is it also that we're willing to go all this extra way for our family members and our kids and not take care of a fundamental problem that we ourselves are experiencing? You know how much anxiety and depression and trauma have taken from your life already. And the last thing is fear, right? Fear, what are you waiting for? The fear to go away. Many people are waiting for the fear to go away. I'll do it when it's safe. Oh wait, let's see. Oh wait, no, I don't know what they said. I don't know. Oh, whoa. And I appreciate that, because fear is a big player in the body. I mean, your brain is hardwired to bow down to fear and to really not go there. And if you do go into things that are fearful, you got all kinds of problems, whether or not there's something to really be afraid of or not. But you've got the racing heart, your heart's pounding, maybe you're sweating, and you're just trying to make a phone call, right? And it's frustrating because the fear, right? And I appreciate that. That's part of the illness, but you can still be ill and heal, right? And so how can you take action while you're afraid? One of the big questions that people are always asking is, will it work for me? They don't always ask me, but this is one of the questions we're always subconsciously asking people is, will it work for me? And you know what? I want to say, I think so. If as long as you've got a working prefrontal cortex, your thinking center, you got a working, I'm not caring how much it works, just that it works. If you've got your limbic system in there, and you've got, your subconscious mind is functioning relatively, it's there. Chances are you're good. Those are the three ingredients, or the three players required to do this brain work, and who are creating this problem in the first place. So chances are, yes. Then we've got different strategies. There's different strategies out there in the world. How do you know you can find the right one? Right? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, because this is my area of expertise, and so I'm going to save you a couple of years. You're not going to get the kind of brain work, the healthy brain function that you're looking for using talk therapy. Talk therapy is great for support, for understanding, but to get your brain to heal, you don't need to understand. You don't even need to like the person you're working with, which is like a total myth out there in the world. We think we got to have this great bond with somebody. No, you don't. You need to have the right ability to change the brain, and you can do that for yourself. And if you don't like them and you just do walk yourself through the steps, even though you don't like them, you're gonna heal. You're gonna get the transformation you need, because the kind of transformation your brain needs doesn't require, it's nice to have somebody that you like. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to go to people you don't like, but what I'm saying is that the kind of brain function, the changes in the brain that you want to create, that you're looking for, that are healthy and that are not producing the symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, that's a different thing. And so definitely look for those other types of interventions. In my program, what I find works the best, and why I can help my clients eliminate symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress in 2 to 6 months, as opposed to 2 to 6 years, is because I'm using powerful interventions, and we're using it a lot. And they're using it a lot themselves. And the interventions I like the best are emotional freedom techniques, thought-filled therapy, energy medicine, and EMDR. Maybe even in that order. Anyway, EMDR is a little bit tough. That's the most popular intervention in the country, but it doesn't work for everybody, and not everybody is really ready for that. That's not how it's presented, but that's the deal, and they help you get ready for that. But I find that we can just get right in there with these other interventions that are safer and more powerful. So I'm here. I want you to hear that as direction and not a tip, right? Because you can absolutely go and start using them now. You'll start feeling a little bit better. It'll be great. And I encourage you to do that. But ultimately, the real underlying work is pretty extensive and needs to be done. You need to know you need to have the skills to get in there. And that's why it's important to really get professional help, regardless of where you get that professional help, because you want to do a good job. You really want to, if you do a good job, you don't have to revisit this over and over and over again. You will have to maintain your emotional wellness, because you always have emotions in life and those sorts of things. But to deal with this stuff that's just shutting things down and helping you misinterpret life, that's something that is, when it's done, it's done. So, but will those work for you? Yeah, I think so. I can't tell you for certain. I remember taking, I had there was a problem I was facing, and it was in my business. And I was sick of it. And I realized that my business will never get off the ground if I don't solve this problem. And I'm not willing to do that because I want to be part of bringing healing I want to change the way trauma work is done in our country. I want it to be accessible, and I want it to be stuff we do at our tables in the morning. Anyway, so lots of purpose I have here. And if I didn't solve this problem, I would not get my dream life. And so I had been working on it for a couple of years independently because I am absolutely a do-it-yourselfer, especially with things like that. And I thought I absolutely could. And it really, I don't know if it was having my fifth baby or what it was, but I was just done. I was like, I'm done spinning my wheels. I want this now. And so, so I signed up for this program. Cost me $11,000. And I'm glad it did. I was terrified. Hi, Lisa. I was terrified that I spent so much money, but I knew that it was worth it. And I knew that this would solve my problem exactly as it was. And I remember I went and I was all excited because I'm doing this thing and I'm doing something I've never done before. And here I am on the edge, working with the best in the world, and because I believe in that. And I took that chance and I invested in myself, and I'm doing this. So I go and tell my friend, and I say, this is what I'm doing. And, this is how much I spent. And she said, $11,000. What are you doing? And I was like, I'm solving my problem, because I am worth more than $11,000. And she said, she said, have you Googled it? Have you done all the things you could do first? And I said, I've Googled this. I mean, I'm not Googling this anymore. I'm done. And then it was, and I sat there, I said, look here. I said, I am so sick of this problem that I am willing to learn an $11,000 lesson right now. Okay. And that was the last we had of that conversation. And it was wonderful. Guess what? If I thanked them afterwards for it being that expensive, number one, because I wanted to quit all the time. That thing was hard. If it wasn't for that money, I would have quit like 4 times. I remember 4 times thinking about quitting. It's like, I can't, what am I going to do? What am I going to tell my husband? What am I going to tell my kids? Sorry. And so I was wholeheartedly in. And that is actually the thing I needed the most in my life, is to be wholeheartedly in. And so, so that was really a big transformational thing for me. But guess what? So I'm telling you, will this work? Is that what you're waiting for, to be told it's going to work? Because guess what? I don't know if it's going to work. But I'll tell you what won't work. It's sitting there. I'll tell you what won't work is reading books. I did that. I read a lot of books, and I did everything they told me to do in the book, and it still did not get it for me. It wasn't until I started using these interventions with the skills that I had already built, and then I had to even build more skills with those. And so I don't know if it's going to work for you, but what are your options? You either keep searching, keep taking steps forward, keep moving, and keep willing to invest. Let me tell you what, there is not a lot of things more important than your emotional wellness. Period. And if somebody were to do this work with me in private practice and pay cash and do this over a 2-year period, because and when you're in regular therapy, you do this like once a week, right? Which is, you're wasting a lot of time there. But let's do that. Let's say you're going to go and do this for once a week for the next 2 years. This would cost $22,000. And guess what? That's like, most people get their insurance to deal with it, so they don't really know. But that's like a college degree. Right? But guess which one is more important? If you come out of childhood and parts of your brain aren't hooked up, what do you think is more important? I mean, it's nice to have a degree if you can make that far, and you get a degree and you get your master's and you get your doctorate. Yeah. But at some point, this stuff catches up with you. This is your foundation. And at some point, that house just crumbles. Right? And so really, where are your priorities? And guess what? There's times for this. I had when I was recovering, I had choices to make. I could, and one of the choices in my face, because I was intentionally moving my anxiety and trauma disorder into remission. I was consciously doing that. And I had the choice. I could go to work, make a bunch of money, or I could stay here and be poor and be on food stamps and do this healing work. And I chose to sit there. And there were several other things that would have made it really difficult for me to leave 3 kids. When you leave 3 kids in childcare and you go work, like, you really end up with -$3. And so after all of that, but the choices I kept making was, what's the most important thing? And it was foundational issues, and I kept making decisions based on my foundation. And that's been how I've been able to keep building, is because the foundation is in place. And so for you, this is a foundational problem. What are you waiting for? What's stopping you from solving this? And I want you to have that conversation with yourself. Write that down, because I want you to know that what's not going to work for you is sitting still and doing nothing, or doing the things that you're doing, or doing the things that everyone else is doing and takes them decades to get through, and sometimes they never get through. Okay? So that's really what I want you to have a conversation with about. I want you, if you're a journaler, I want you journaling about this. If you're a songwriter, I want you writing a song about this. Feel free to post that on my page. If you're an artist, I want you to write about this. I want you to do whatever it is that gets you thinking about these things, and really knocking these things down, annihilating these things that are blocking you. Everything in your life, every challenge in your life is just a challenge to be overcome, including panic attacks, including hypervigilance, right? And including money problems, including the timing issues, right? And some of these decisions have to be made on faith. And this is the difference. If you've got anxiety, depression, and trauma disorder, many of your decisions are made by fear, because of how strong fear is, and how strong your survival center reacts to fear. It teaches us, don't go there. If there's fear, stay away. But really, we want to be living by faith. And I'm not talking religion. If you're hearing religion, good. If you're not hearing religion, good. I'm just talking about the actual action of faith. And that's being certain of what you hope for, being certain of what you don't see, right? We have faith that we're going to have a healthy baby. We have faith that we're going to make it to work when we drive our car. Though we're making action, we're taking action because of what we believe is going to happen. And sometimes in your healing journey, that's what you've got to do. And no one can make that easy for you, because it takes a lot of courage to win. It takes a lot of courage to change things like this. It takes a lot of courage, especially if you're the first one in your family. If you're the one that's ending generational trauma, it's going to take a lot of courage, and no one can take that away from you. No one can take away the leap of faith that you're going to have to make on yourself. Okay? So my question to you is, what are you waiting for? So, and then after you've written it down, after you've answered yourself, take action. Stop waiting. Write that on your mirror. You got lipstick? Stop waiting. Waiting is a cuss word. Don't use it. Stop waiting. Take action. Do what you got to do. If you're ready to take action and you know that that's with me, I want you to go ahead and book a call with me by going to rachelmcleod.com/call. And we will take a deep dive to figure out where you're stuck, what's not working, what you really want, what your life looks like without these symptoms, and then help you create a plan to get there. And we'll talk about your next steps. Okay? So that's absolutely there for you. So what I want you to do right now, I'm going to read through, because Lisa has been commenting, so I'm going to read those aloud. And then if you have any questions, if you know the answer, what you're waiting for, go ahead and post that now. And then we'll talk about it a little bit. Okay? So oh, good. She said, you're so sassy, solid. Thank you. I felt sassy today. You inspired me to stand solid. Yes, in and amongst my new boundaries. Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I love the new boundaries. And I did on a word about that. I want you to know, when you set your new boundaries, a lot of times, you don't know what you're doing. It's a skill, just like any other skill. It's like writing and learning to write your name. In the beginning, you're not very good. but you keep going. Next thing you know, it's flowing and it's beautiful and it's nice. And so, just because you might have, it might be not so cute when you start setting those boundaries, set them. Keep setting them. Okay. And then realignment. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And, really align yourself with your healing. You know, if your healing is in this direction, don't be facing that direction. Turn yourself around. Let's go. And if you can't, hire someone to get you turned around. Okay? So that's what I've got to say today. Don't let anything stop you. This is the biggest deal. This is the biggest deal ever. And, it's going to cost you more to continue to suffer than it is going to cost you to heal. Right? So I think that's all. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. Feel free to send me a PM, or just even in this post, go ahead and put your thoughts and comments and concerns, especially if you're watching the replay. And I'm watching these, and I absolutely will respond. So good night, everyone, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.